2, 1, let's go with it.
So Brian, what are 3 words you would use to best describe South Kent?
When I think about South Kent School, the first word that comes to mind is authentic. I think intentional, and I think of relationships.
Great. And what's something that South Kent School offers the boys won't find at other schools?
Yeah. I believe that South Kent is unique, being a small all-boys school by design. And because of its design and intentionality, our students get to know our faculty extremely well, both in the classroom, in the dorms, on the athletic fields, every aspect of school life.
Awesome. And what's something that South Kent School offers that boys won't find at other schools?
South Kent School is a school that's designed for boys. It offers an opportunity for our students to not only get to know the teachers and the faculty extremely well in the classroom, but to really get to know one another in the dorms, on the athletic fields, in all aspects of school life. How was that better?
That was much stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very convincing. Yes.
Okay. So mastery. Most families are unfamiliar with the mastery program. Why mastery? Why is it better for the boys?
When you think about academics today in the classroom, there's such a focus on grades, getting to the next chapter, getting through a certain point in the year by Thanksgiving, by Christmas, by the end of the year. At South Kent, the focus truly is on developing a foundation of skills that will prepare them for everything they learn from that point forward. I'm going to end it right there. Just
That's great.
get a pause. Someone else will have something else to say. Yeah.
And do we want, just from my knowledge, do we want to be, a certain... You are meeting with a family who is choosing between South Kent School and another prep school. Why should they come here to South Kent?
South Kent is going to offer each student a unique experience. The curriculum, let me rephrase. South Kent is going to offer each boy a unique experience. Our singular curriculum, which oversees everything from academics, athletics, community life, is an opportunity for us to individually measure the growth of each student. Our size allows for relationships to be formed that you won't find at other places. I screwed that up right there. Our size allows our boys to form relationships, not only with students, with their peers, with faculty, but all employees across campus. You won't find that authenticity at another school.
That's great. Those are...
I believe the advantages to single-sex education truly lies in the opportunity for our students to stay focused and committed on what they're here to do. They form relationships and a bond with their fellow peers. They stay committed to their classwork. They work on their athletics or whatever their passions may be, both in and out of the classroom.
Great. Terse, right to the point. Perfect.
Yeah.
Go off on my
Maybe
own.
not so much.
Yeah.
Because we're
Luckily, this is digital nowadays and not film, so we're good.
going to pull some nuggets.
Yeah, pull all them in. Well, what makes South Kent unique? I always strongly believe that every school is unique, and that is the strength of every institution. What it really comes down to is always the person's experience. What is that feeling they get when they visit campus? Do the students, do the faculty say hi to you when you walk around? Do you feel comfortable when you walk around? I've always encouraged families to go visit a number of schools, because when they come here just with one specific thing in mind, they don't realize what all the benefits are of an independent boarding school and what are the strengths of South Kent School. They get that really quick when they do come visit, when they sit down for lunch. They get the impact of the community. They get the impact of the boys. They get to see the diversity in such a small environment. I've always been asked too, why did your parents choose South Kent? And I remember fondly my dad coming around and just sitting there and going, I want you at a table with a kid from New Jersey, a kid from Germany, you being from Spain. Just that, having that diversity of thought was the biggest strength and the reason why he felt comfortable saying, "Yep, I'm going to leave my son here." So that was one of those. That was his reasoning,
Yeah.
and I agree to that. The other piece too was he didn't fall as we toured many schools. He didn't fall for just the looks or the feel, he didn't fall for just the looks. He was looking for the content, right? What was going to make you, or more me? He was looking for me to strengthen me, to give me those opportunities. He didn't want anything given. He wanted me to earn it. And South Kent's always done that. But, you look at the simplicity, the trinity of values, and that's where it comes from. Directness of purpose or simplicity of life. Those are the big ones. But self-reliance was the biggest one for him, and it continues to be one for me. And the reason why, when I look at it, I choose it for my son.
Great.
See the emotion part. So you gotta get.
Love that self-reliance.
Yeah.
No, that's the big piece. Other fun thing.
So you don't want mastery.
It's not that I don't want to talk about mastery.
Yeah.
The way I would talk about or describe mastery is the beauty of South Kent. It's small by design, and when it's small by design, and you hold on to these, the traditions and the values that make South Kent so unique, it also allows us to be nimble. And the mastery, developing the mastery curriculum is just another step in that, moving forward. It's not just staying there and resting on your laurels. It's the ability to move things forward. And, seeing the current research, adapting, that's what makes it so unique and strength. Because the boys are different, right? It's not the same boys that were here when I was here. I'm so lucky because I get to travel the world on behalf of South Kent School. And I see, not only past alums, but I'm also meeting future prospective students. And at that time, you can see the connection. And the connections are the values. But what the students received back then can't be what they're getting now in terms of academics or curriculum. And that's where mastery comes in.
Awesome. What?
I'm full of shit.
That's a good. We like it. So what does a day in the life of a South Kent schoolboy look like? What's special about it? Is it different from other schools, or is it more? Are they more focused? Are they? How do they integrate academics and athletics? What does it look like? My
absolute favorite way to describe South Kent and its schedule is that it's individualized, not institutionalized. Yes, you're going to need boundaries. You're going to need a set schedule, and because that has to happen for boys, right? They need those boundaries. They need those lines to just be defined. However, within those lines, it allows the boys to explore their desires. So you can have boys who are taking art during the extracurricular or foreign language, really expanding their academic offering. But for those high-end student athletes, it's great to see them too take those courses and then also rush down and work on their skills, what they want, what's going to get them to the next level.
Right. You have 3 words to describe South Kent School?
Hungry is always one of my favorite ones because we don't stop. We want more. Right? I've always loved the word underdog. And although it's not reflected in the easiest way to determine underdog, which is athletic championships, just because we have multiple championships doesn't mean we stop. It just continues pushing forward. So that's why I like it's just we're just not complacent. These aren't even helping you on 3 words, but
no, it's okay.
it's like a million words. But you're always going to have the typical ones that everybody always rattles off, which are brotherhood, family, those, and that's true. It's there, but the reason I don't love them all the time is I'm not going to knock the boy at another school who says they feel the same thing at their school. It goes back to my first point: is that's where that comfort came from, right? When you feel comfort, maybe that's one of the key words. It is comfort. Success comes from comfort. When you're comfortable, when you can be with, when you feel comfortable with that teacher, with your coach, with anybody on staff, that's where your success comes from. So there you go. Comfort, success. And the last one could be
hunger.
Fill in the blank. Yeah, hunger. Comfort, success, hunger. That's all you need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you want any? Do you have any insights into the advantages of same-sex education?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's a reason why they pay me to be admissions director.
So what are some advantages?
The advantage of a same-sex education really comes down to, it's just that, it's the focus. It's the ability to remove a distraction, which is important, and it's something you're going to deal with at the next level. However, at this critical moment in their education and development, it just allows them to be themselves and really feel comfortable with their peers. Another part of the advantage for our boys, they always ask this kind of question, and they ask it primarily in the admission stage. They don't ask it that much when they're here, because at that point, the schedule takes over, their experience takes over. But then when we share a town with 2 neighboring co-ed schools, guess who's the new guy? For them, the boys, always. They've always been regarded as, well, just better citizens. They're just better at just about everything. We always get a lot of compliments from our boys because they are now introduced into a different make up words. Whatever. That's about it.
Okay.
It's made up, but
That's
it's good.
great.
But it's the truth. If you ask any restaurant in town, they always say the South Kent boys shine.
Oh,
But I don't want to put down the other 2 schools. No, I'm being serious. They definitely don't use that. Yeah.
All right.
That's great.
I think we're
have
good.
fun.
Great.
Yeah, you're great.
All right, you guys are on.
All right, Lauren. So you know South Kent School better than anyone. What are 3 words you would use to describe the school?
Unique, empathetic, challenging.
Great.
Move in just a tad.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Perfect.
And what are some things that South Kent School can offer boys that they won't find at other schools?
I think being a very small, all-boys church school puts us in a very unique position. We're small enough that we know everybody and everybody knows us. We have, I think, a strongly defined set of values and that we live by. And it's all tied in with a unique academic program that you really can't find anywhere else. So if you put together the fact that we have a very strong, exceptionally strong community life program, I think an exceptionally strong academic program for a wide variety of students, and an athletic program to round it out. Those are the 3 legs of our stools, and I think we do each of those very, very well, to the extent that not many other schools can claim to do what we do as well in those 3 areas.
Great. So this thing mastery that everyone's talking about, most families are not really familiar with the term. Why mastery? What is it? Why is it better for the boys?
Well, I've spent the last 20 years or so of my career working on learning and how we learn as a species and moving from there into how we teach. And I think mastery just makes so much sense because it really is the best way to teach young people, best way to teach boys in particular. I think there are far fewer distractions. It allows students to move much more at their own pace. So instead of working for a week and finishing a unit or finishing a chapter and then taking a test and then moving on regardless of what happens in that test, with mastery you can really make sure that the students have control of the material on which they've been working and really don't move on until they're ready to move on, until they're able to move on. So it's more difficult to teach. I think our teachers have done a tremendous job figuring out how to do it because it requires flexibility, and you have students in the room who are not necessarily all exactly on the same page. But for the individual students, I think there's no question that it's the best way for them to learn.
Great. And you hit on this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we have to.
You hit on this a little bit, but what would you say are some advantages for a single-sex education?
The biggest one is far fewer distractions. And it's not just being a single-sex school, but also being a small school.
I'm sorry, can you start that answer again? Only put the question into the beginning of your answer. The advantages of, because we won't be probably not putting any lead into that.
Right. Yep. The advantages of being a single-sex school, I think, are also combined with the advantages we have of being a small school. And the simplest, most obvious answer, perhaps, is there are fewer. Okay, let me start that one over. The simple, most obvious answer, perhaps, are there are far fewer distractions. And it's not just the fact that we're not distracted by having girls in the classroom, and you don't have to posture or position yourself differently because of that. But the fact that we are so small, we know everybody on campus. No one has to put on airs. No one has to pretend to be anybody that they're not. And with fewer distractions, I think we can get down to the business of education quicker and probably better than schools that are bigger, have a lot more things happening, and have girls in the classroom.
Great. And then, how do we live our mission here at South Kent? South Kent prepares young men to succeed in college and thrive as thoughtful and engaged citizens in a rapidly changing and intensely competitive world. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think we live into our mission tremendously well. And we live into our mission and always have, because of how we are set up, how we operate, how we go about our business on a daily basis. The world is changing faster by the day, and we're very aware of the fact that we need to teach our young men and train them in ways that we don't understand. So it doesn't make any sense to cram them full of facts that might have been useful 10 years ago, when we can teach them the skills and the values and the ability to ask questions that they will need no matter what happens in the world. So as the world continues to change, we want to provide our boys with the skills that they will need in that world to succeed wherever they are, in whatever they do. And I think to teach them to be good community members in whatever community they choose to join.
Awesome. And you're alumni here, so you could probably speak to this better than anyone. You're meeting with a family who is choosing between South Kent School and another school, maybe somewhere even close in the area. What makes South Kent School special? Why should they send their kids here?
Well, I am biased. Both my parents taught here, and so I was raised and grew up here. I went here as a student, and then I worked here for 9 years before I went off and worked at some other schools. So I am biased, and I should say that at the outset. But the community at South Kent School is unique and unlike anything I've ever seen anywhere else. I've worked at other schools. I visited a lot of schools, many of which claim to be community-centered. None of them, and I'm not speaking poorly of them, but none of them can do it the way that we can. We know every single student in school. We know their families. We know why they've come here. We stay in touch with our alumni when they graduate. We are deliberate in teaching, not only in the classroom, but also in all the other areas of life. We're teaching the values of our mission. We're teaching simplicity of life, self-reliance, and directness of purpose. And the boys are getting that everywhere in everything that they do, all day, every day, in order to live into our mission. And I think that's what makes South Kent so unique and so special.
Great.
Good? We're good?
I think we're good.
All right, little sound check. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
All right.
And if you can give us full name, spell it, and your title. That
Sure.
You would,
Philip Ludlow Darren, PhilipLud. Is that my middle name? Ludlow, Ludlow, Darren, Darrin, Chief Programs Officer.
Okay, great. So, I don't like starting with this one because I feel like it's hard.
well, then,
Yeah.
it is hard.
Soften me up.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it about South Kent School that makes it so special? What does it offer the boys that they won't find in other places?
I think it's our,
And if you could put the question into the answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
okay. What makes South Kent special for the boys, in my opinion, is our size. We're intentionally small, and I think in no other place in New England, perhaps the world, will you walk down the hill and know everyone you see. Is that enough?
Great. Yeah.
Is that expansive
Short
enough?
and sweet is great.
Okay.
Let's take just 2 seconds.
Yep.
I just want to make one adjustment.
Do you want me to do it again?
3, 2, 1, from the top.
What makes South Kent, can you say it again? Graham just laughed at me in the wind. What's the question again?
What is it about South Kent School that makes it so special? What does it offer the boys that other schools don't have?
Thank you. What is it that makes South Kent so special? For me, it's that we're intentionally small, or small by design, right? When you walk through the hallways here, you know every face, right? You greet each other by names. You smile at each other. You know when you're celebrating something. You know when you're maybe going through a tough time. And people around here share that experience with you. And I think that's pretty special. And I think it's really attributable to our size. Stop. That is really attributable. Stop. That is really attributable to our size. Attributed?
Hold on.
Someone's having fun out there.
And you can do that last line, 3, 2, 1, you're on.
And I think that that's actually, attributable to our size.
Great. So this thing called mastery. Families are very unfamiliar with it.
Sure.
What is it? Why is it important? And what makes it better for the boys?
What is mastery and why is it better for the boys? Well, I think the simplest answer is it takes this sort of adversarial approach that teachers have kind of become, or teaching has become, where the teacher is the protector of all information and the distributor of all grades, right? And it flips it, right? And now it's the student who's in charge of their grades and the teacher who honestly is there to assist them in getting quote unquote grades, right? A lot of that is different from grading and how we assess students, but at the end of the day, that is the biggest flip. I gotta say it again. What did I say to start? I said teachers, stop, sorry.
It's okay.
Teachers, what did I say at the beginning? And can I do that one again?
Yep.
So do we want to just start from the beginning of
If
the
you don't,
question?
yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay. Mastery. What is it? Most families are unfamiliar with mastery. Why mastery and why is it better for the boys?
Thank you. Why mastery and why is it better for boys? I think first and foremost, the most important thing about mastery-based education is that it flips the dynamic in the classroom. Most of us are familiar with a teacher who, and maybe we even said as a student in the past, oh, you gave me an A, or you gave me a D, or you gave me a C, right? That is, I think, it points to all the inherent problems in the current model of education, where teachers are somehow this protector of information and distributor of grades. Mastery flips that, right? The student is the keeper of information and the curator of information. And the teacher really becomes that true guide on the side that helps them discover, helps the students discover in themselves their passion and how they are really tangling with the content or the skills that they're working on in class. And why is it best for boys? Well, boys, I believe, need to really be convinced as to why something is worth it for them, right? They're all in once boys are all in. Once they're committed to something. And I think mastery-based education, because it's more about them pursuing their interest, right? They get all in on subjects and they'll take it further than you ever could have imagined. And so mastery really unlocks that challenge for boys.
Awesome. What are 3 words you think of when you think of South Kent School?
I'm gonna think for a second. 3 words I think
This
of.
is the one that's hard.
Yeah. It's family, energy, and fun. Those are literally the first 3.
Great, yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. The first 3 words I think of for South Kent School are family, energy, and fun. Family, I think, is directly sort of related to the size of the school and the fact that you really do know where everyone is. Energy is just, this place is buzzing, and there's you always hear from a dorm someone yelling like, woo, or, from the tennis courts or wherever it might be. And fun, just, on the weekends, just being able to sort of engage with the boys, not just in the classroom, not just in the dining hall, but out and around campus. And I'm coming off of weekend duty myself, so I think fun is probably the first thing that's on my mind.
That's great. It's the best answer we've got.
All right, there you go.
Okay, so you're meeting with a family who's choosing between South Kent School and other schools in the area. Why come to South Kent?
Okay. Why come to South Kent School? Simply put, students here are not just another face, right? They're someone we treat, almost like our own extension of our family. I shouldn't say as I said earlier, because you might not know that, right? I'm gonna start over again. Say it again.
You're meeting with a family who is choosing between South Kent School and other schools in the area. Why should they come here to South Kent?
So I was talking about size, and then I want to talk about mastery, probably.
Sure, yeah,
that
those
okay?
are great, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So why should you choose South Kent School? First, I think our size, right? If you walk around here, you know everyone. It's like an extension of your own family. We celebrate with you. We also are there with you through tough times. And I think that's an important aspect of the school, not just for the students, but for the adults and the community at large. But for me, the biggest reason to choose South Kent School is, our mastery program, right? If you look around the country, other people are adopting mastery, but they're looking at it through maybe an academic lens. If you look around the country, you might find other schools that are really good at athletics, right? If you look at around the country, you might find other schools with a great community life program. But we're uniting all of those three, our academics, our athletics, our community life program, through our mastery program. And we're really looking at our boys, trying to make them collaborative, right? Trying to instill in them the ability to work in teams. We're making them great critical thinkers. We're hoping to instill, resilience in them, spiritual awareness. And all of these, our characteristics of a graduate of South Kent School are being measured, in every aspect of their life at South Kent. And I think other schools are doing well in areas, right? But we're excelling in all three. And to me, that's the biggest difference. And we're doing so in using data. We're doing so giving feedback to the students, to the parents, and helping them grow and helping develop into thriving young men.
Great.
Is that all right? Is
Yeah,
that
and I
okay?
think that was good because we kind of hit on the mission there too as well. Do we want to ask one more? Advantages to a single-sex education.
What are the advantages of a single-sex education? To me, it's the focus, right? In the classroom, I think you have this reduced kind of barrier where kids aren't in the classroom, or students aren't in the classroom necessarily trying to impress another party in the room. They're not trying to show off necessarily in the room. I think in a single-sex education, you're a little more comfortable being sort of who you are, and that sort of barrier. I'm going to start over again. It's not the barrier; is not the right word. That sort of. What's the word I'm looking for, Graham? Single-sex education, focus and lack. I don't want like a bunch of peacocks running around.
Community, character.
Yeah. I'll go to simplicity of life. Is that all right?
Yep, simplicity of life, directness of purpose, self-reliance.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do that. Okay. So, what are the benefits of a single-sex education? For me, it ties right into our Trinity of values, right? Simplicity of life, directness of purpose, and self-reliance. Okay. Our boys, are free of the distraction from having girls in the classroom with them, right? They're allowed to focus really intently on their work. And in my experience, that idea of self-reliance is, enhanced here because they're a little more vulnerable when they can raise their hand and say, look, I need help here, right? Advocating for themselves in this atmosphere is a little easier.
It's great.
That work?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we got what we need.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah,
All right.
some great answers there.
Hey.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, sound good. And just give me your full name and spell it.
Graham Russell, GrameRussell.
Great.
Okay, Graham, you're on.
All right, Graham. So you said you've been here for 2 years now. What's your experience been like here at South Kent?
Yeah, my experience here has been
You
My
can start over at any time.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah.
yeah, my experience here has been awesome. It's been great to get to see the community build up through COVID, through all the struggles we've been facing with the pandemic. And it's been just, it's an awesome time getting to know everyone, getting to see the style of South Kent, and to just really experience the brotherhood.
Great. So what is a day in the life of, a South Kent student look like?
Yeah, so normally I wake up around 7:30 and I have breakfast and I go to my first class, and then I have my athletic commitments. I have my other commitments such as Spanish class or art class, and then I have lunch. I have my PM block, which is the afternoon class. And then after that, I also have my other athletic commitments like mountain biking or rowing or something like that.
And what's your favorite part of the day? Like, what do you look forward to?
I look forward just to being around other students, getting to socialize. The classroom, I get to communicate with my teachers and be around other students. It's just nice to get to be with the community.
That's awesome, yeah. And what is the academic like here at South Kent? Is it different from what you've had in the past?
Yeah, the academics here are definitely a little bit different. It's not your standard kind of academics, but I think it's a lot more effective with just a single-sex boys' school here. I think it's very effective, the teaching style and the way the program's organized, and I think it's really just been an effective school.
Awesome. And what do you think? Did you look at other schools before you came to South Kent? And if so, what was it about South Kent that you felt was special? What made it kind of different?
Yeah, I think just kind of the size of the school is a really big factor for me. I think that close brotherhood that everyone talks about here that we have is really something special and important to me. And I think just being able to have that close and brotherhoodness. Not really a word.
That's great. I like it. Brotherhoodness. I love it. Your best friend from home is thinking about coming here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell them? What do you do to convince them? Why do you want him to come here? What is it about South Kent that makes it so special? And what would you tell your best friend?
I think really just the opportunities that we get to have here and the freedom that we get to have, and just really, again, that community that we have. It's something that really separates us from other prep schools. I think it's something that makes us stand out in a good way.
That's great. And then when you're thinking about South Kent, what is it like? What are 3 words that come to your mind? And it's okay for you to think about it a little bit because it's kind of a hard question. But if you have 3 words to describe the campus and the community and life here, what would it be?
3 words. I'm thinking possibilities is one.
Mm-hmm.
Community is a big one for me, and then possibilities, community, and just
You've used brotherhood a lot.
yeah. I'll say brotherhood, possibilities, brotherhood, and then I'll say it's fun here. Yeah.
Okay, so just say like 3 words that best for me.
3 words that best describe South Kent for me would be possibilities, brotherhood, and just fun.
Great. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. I think I asked all the questions. Is there anything else you want to share with us about why you love being here? Or what
There's
makes
only
it
one
special?
thing that I would want to know
Yeah.
is, having gone to prep school myself,
Yeah.
how do you find the interaction between upper class and freshmen? How do you find upper class treating freshmen? What type of
Yeah, I think it's almost in a way a father-son relationship. In a way, we see the upper class treat freshmen as they understand they were in that situation once, and they treat them really just with comfort and just saying, this is your home now. Everyone here knows each other. You'll be all right. You'll get through.
So it's sort of like having big brothers you never had before, right?
Yes, that big brother kind of situation.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Cool.
I'm learning so much just
Yeah,
listening to
yeah.
everybody. So Jesse, what is something that South Kent School offers the boys that they won't find anywhere else?
South Kent offers a home away from home, where the boys can pursue their passions, can challenge themselves in the classroom, in the resident houses, at the field, the court, the rink, but most importantly, be natural and be who they really want to be. And if they don't know that, that's okay as well, and they can explore that here. And so we give them that opportunity. We allow them to, we support them to succeed. We support them when they stumble, and by the end of their time here, they hopefully are leaving and know what they want to do next, and are up for the challenge.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. And what are, in your opinion, what are some advantages to having a single-sex education?
I think one of the biggest advantages that I see, especially being in the classroom with the boys, is the willingness to be themselves. There's the silly side of it of, walking in with bedhead at your 8:30 a.m. class and not really caring. But then there's also the willingness to get up in front of the class and to perform Mark Antony's soliloquy from Caesar's Shakespeare, or from Shakespeare's Caesar. I might mess that up. I don't imagine myself doing that when I was in high school at a public school. And I don't think these boys would do it necessarily if there were young ladies of interest that were in the class with them. So I think they're willing to open themselves up, be more vulnerable, be more honest, and take chances that they normally wouldn't be willing to take.
Probably true. So the mission of South, it prepares young men to college, thrive, thoughtful, and what is that mission, and how do you see it in the classroom?
In my office, I have a quote up on the wall that says, the learned will inherit. It's something like the learned will inherit a earth that they're not prepared for, something like that. Essentially, the idea is that it's all about learning and being able to continue to learn. And that's what I really, as a teacher, communicate to my students. At the end of the day, the chances that you're going to need to know when the Battle of Hastings was, or when Henry VIII came to power, it's so unlikely. My goal by the end of their third form year is they know what they need to do to succeed, right? And I work with them on that in the classroom, but also in the resident houses. What do you need to succeed? What sort of living condition do you need? Make sure your desk is clear so you can sit down and do work. Or maybe you can't work in the dorm. Okay, find a spot on campus, right? Understand yourself. And so through that mission, I think what we're teaching them is that, listen, we don't know what the world is going to be. I mean, if you asked us 3 years ago what the world would be today, we wouldn't be able to tell you that we were living in a post-pandemic world, right? But the mission is that we're going to prepare boys to be ready for that, to be resilient, and to be able to adapt and succeed no matter what the world throws at them.
Oh, true. Yeah. And you work in the classroom as well. And everyone's talking about the mastery. What is, families don't know what it is. What is mastery? Why is it good for the boys?
I'm going to use the analogy I always use with the parents and for the boys in my class. When these guys are at practice, whether it's soccer field, the rink, the court, wherever it might be, music even, right? At the end of their lesson, their practice, the teacher, the instructor, the coach doesn't say, hey, that's an A, that's a B, that was a D, right? No, throughout the whole time, that adult is there providing feedback. And that's what we do in our classroom, right? We're not standing up there and spouting all I can about history or all I can about math, right? I'm actually more behind the scenes supporting each boy as he masters the content, as he struggles with it and maybe needs some feedback on, well, you've approached the problem this way. Why don't you try approaching it a different way, right? Is there something else you maybe could add to this, or another thing you can consider? So when you tie it back to the athletics, well, where does the grade come in? Where does that happen? How do you know if you've done well? What's the game, right? And so I always tell my boys, and the test, or the more so the projects that we do, that's game day. That's where you're going to show me, you're going to demonstrate to me, I got it. I know it, coach. I know it, Mr. Brennan. I can do it. And so throughout the class, mastery is all about giving feedback, right? Specific feedback to each boy so he understands what he needs to do to succeed at the next level, at the next practice, at the next session, whatever it may be. He's getting that feedback to improve. And then through that feedback, he's able to eventually master the skill that he needs to succeed. And that's, for me, the way I always find it easiest to explain it is that, that's how we go through life. That's how I go through life now. There's no one sitting there telling me, this is certain things I need to do, but there is someone telling me, hey, this is this went really well, or you know what, maybe next time try this. I mean, that's the way we learn. But with the boys, mastery is all about feedback. Your son is going to constantly get the feedback he needs so he knows what he can do next, how he can succeed, and how he can improve.
Awesome.
Hopefully, I've been part of the process.
No, it's great. Okay. Here's another. You're meeting with a family, and they're trying to choose between South Kent School and other schools in the area. What is it about South Kent that makes it so special? Why should
This is probably one of the hardest things to communicate about who we are as a school. When I talk to boys about this, I just did this past week, and working with boys who are hoping to be student leaders next year. One of the things I shared, that one of my favorite memories of South Kent so far has been, we had a young student from Korea, a freshman from South Korea, little guy, not an athletic bone in his body, and he was very much aware of that. And then we had this postgraduate who was going, he didn't know yet, but would later be named Gatorade Player of the Year, top basketball prospect in the country. And so I see these two students walk past each other one day in the assembly hall, and I think in most places they would walk past each other. Well, they get about a foot away from each other, they look at each other, they nod, and then they engage in this secret handshake that they had clearly worked on, coordinated, and then they went their separate ways. And I thought, how do those two boys, what do they share, right? And when I realized it was South Kent, it was this community. That's what you get here. You get a community, you get, as I said in the beginning, a home away from home. Your son is going to be known by everyone here, and not just his face, not just his name, but his personality. So much so, we'll be able to look at him and know he's having a bad day, right? He's having a good day. He's feeling confident. We're going to know him and his likes and his interests, and he's going to be able to feel comfortable around us. And I don't think you get that at other schools that are so large, right? And so the real small, tight-knit community that is so diverse, whether you think about it from a racial standpoint, you think about it from an interest or passion standpoint, if you think about it from geographic standpoint, I mean, we are just such a diverse community, but we're tight-knit. And at the end of the day, all these boys can recite their Chaucer. At the end of the day, they all know how many national championships they have. They all know the history of the school, and they all are proud to be part of South Kent.
That was great.
Really, really great. We're just gonna be using your whole interview.
That little story right there
Yeah.
alone would be a video.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no
So we'll start with something a little easy. What can South Kent School offer the boys that they won't find anywhere else? What is something that kind of makes South Kent School special?
I think our ability to keep in mind who our students are and then build programs specific to...
Can we try that one more time? And could you preface your answer by including the question somehow in the
okay.
body of it? Because the
Gotcha.
question will not necessarily be on tape.
Gotcha.
So what South Kent School makes South Kent School special?
I think what makes South Kent School special is our ability to keep in mind the unique aspects of our student body and then build programs to address those unique characteristics. So for example, building an academic program that leverages the athletic experience that many of our students have on a daily basis. I think our ability to do that enables our students to thrive, where in other schools they may not have that chance.
So Kevin, tell us a little bit more about this academic program. We keep hearing the word mastery thrown around, and not everybody really understands it. Even people on campus don't necessarily understand exactly what mastery is. So in your opinion, what is mastery, and why is it so successful for boys here at South Kent?
So what is mastery is the million-dollar question. And I think to answer it we need to reflect on what the past 2.5 years has reminded us of. And I think it's reminded us how much the different constituents of our students sacrifice so that our students can be here. Whether it's teachers, whether it's caregivers and parents, they are sacrificing time, resources for their students to be here. And when we're reminded of that, an education experience which is defined by filling up these students with content knowledge, I think falls short of what those students deserve and what those constituents deserve after sacrificing so much time and so much resources for these students. And so imagine an academic program that, rather than focusing on content knowledge, focusing rather on these specific learning objectives that these students can develop over time, not just in the classroom space, not just in the dorm, but also athletically. And being able to work with these students year after year, developing on those learning objectives until they're able to transfer them beyond South Kent School to maybe post-secondary education and also eventually into the professional field. That is mastery at South Kent School.
Great, that's awesome.
Can we take a breath just for a second?
Yeah.
Can you, all wonderful elements, would you be able to tell me what mastery is in 20 seconds?
I can try.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, or just, yeah, like.
Just a terse overview. Mastery at its heart is, boom.
Okay. Mastery at its heart at South Kent School is working with students to develop certain skills that can be transferred to post-secondary education and to the professional world after graduation.
Perfect.
Great.
Better than the first.
Oh, no,
Or
this is fine.
the elevator pitch of the first.
Yeah.
Yes.
We want to get a lot of B-roll, right? So
Yeah.
Lots of things we can go back to.
Right.
Do we want to mention too, like maybe we do a little nugget on how we're looking at the way boys learn
Right.
and how that way, that brain knowledge really kind of informs mastery
Right.
and this new way of thinking, this new evolution of education.
Right.
Even if it's just like, you don't have to get into science, just I would just say, like, you know, we're looking at how boys learn. They learn best by focusing on, you know, skills.
Right.
And focusing on, you know, like you said, the other thing that's important is the revision.
Right.
The opportunity to revise them.
Right.
And, you know, keep improving on those skills instead of just giving them a
Right. Okay. So, mastery at South Kent School is really rooted in what we now know about learning science and about how learning happens in the brain. And learning in the brain is a iterative process. It doesn't just happen once, but those skills develop over many different attempts during the revision process. And incorporating that into our academic program is one of the key pillars of what makes mastery work with our specific group of students.
Okay, so I think that's good for that. We can move on from that.
Okay.
So, South Kent's mission to prepare young men to succeed in college, thrive as thoughtful and engaged citizens in a rapidly and intensely competitive world. It's quite a mouthful,
Yes.
but it's a good mission. And how do you see that mission kind of living out, taking place on campus?
I think the best place within my role to see the fulfillment of the mission is actually the adoption of mastery here at South Kent School. The idea that learning should be targeted to certain skills that are transferable in post-secondary education and in the professional world, I see is the greatest fulfillment of our mission.
And if you were, to say a few things about the advantages of a single-sex education, why is that important? How does that really affect the boys in the classroom, on the field, or on campus?
I think so much of what I hear about single-sex education is that it allows boys to focus more. I look at it a little bit differently, and I think it allows us to develop programs that are targeted for boys and how adolescent boys develop. So, it's a little bit of a different perspective rather than focusing on what it allows the boys to do. I look at it as what it allows us to do, which I think it allows us to build programs that are deliberately designed for the development of an adolescent boy.
Awesome.
That's a great response.
Yeah. Okay, so your best friend's family, they have some, 14-year-old boys, and they're looking around at other schools, and they're saying, what is it about South Kent? We want to come to South Kent, but what makes it special? What makes it different from some of the other schools in the area? Why should I send my kid to South Kent?
I may not give the answer you're looking for.
That's okay.
I don't think South Kent is right for every boy. I think we are building programs for a specific type of adolescent boy. And not every adolescent boy will thrive here. And I think that's okay, because it allows us to have a very specific, I'm going to say client, but I don't want to boil them down to clients, right? They're human beings. But this is not a school that's a catch-all. I think if we are building programs to try to appease every stakeholder, I think we won't be successful with any of them. I think we are able to build programs for a specific subset of adolescent boy, and I believe that we are doing it the best of any other school in the country and in the world. And I'm willing to plant that flag because I believe we are. But that doesn't mean that we're the right place for everyone. We are the right place for a specific subset of that group.
Makes sense, yeah. And what is it about South Kent that you love? Like, what kind of keeps you coming back every single day and showing up for your students and, being part of this?
What has kept me at South Kent School? What brought me to South Kent School is not a great story. It's just, my wife wanted to move to Connecticut. But what has kept me at South Kent School, I think, is really important, and that is my colleagues, right? The men and women that I work day in and day out with are why I stay at South Kent School and why I believe what we are doing here at South Kent School is the best of what's being done anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. And what I mean by that is some of these programmatic initiatives, we are really on the frontier of where education is going. And knowing that I have a group of colleagues who I can work with and I can lean on and they can support me is why I stay at South Kent School.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
that was great.
Can I ask one question as
Sure.
possibly a naive parent might? The whole sense of mastery, would you say there is science that shows or dictates that accomplishment-based education or accomplishment is more important than a numerical driven incentive? Is there science or research that might suggest that?
I think what the science suggests and what we know about how learning happens within the brain is that it isn't what happens the first time you experience some sort of sensory input. It's what you are able to build off of that over time and after absorbing different types of sensory inputs. The brain is sensing millions of different inputs at every moment of our lives, and it's not what we can do with those sensory inputs the first time they go through the learning cycle. but it's what we're able to build off of and be able to do after absorbing many different senses time and time again. And that is really what the foundation of mastery is. That it's not so much what you can do the first time you learn something, but it's what you're able to build over time and be able to do by the end, which is ideally, right, transfer that to a new scenario. And that's what mastery is building up to, is to take development on these learning objectives and be able to transfer it beyond the student's life here at South Kent School. And that, I think, is that's really a successful fulfillment of our mission, right? And knowing how much these different constituents are sacrificing for these students, that's a worthy goal of those resources that these constituents are sacrificing for their son and for their students to be here.
In fact, cultivating a life paradigm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome.
You can give me your first name, last name, and spell it and your position with. Go ahead.
Kevin Benz, Kevinbenz, Dean of Humanities and Teaching Faculty.
Okay, you guys are on.
All right. So we'll start with something a little easy. What can South Kent School offer the boys that they won't find anywhere else? What is something that kind of makes South Kent School special?
I think our ability to keep in mind who our students are and then build programs specific to.
Can we try that one more time? And could you preface your answer by including the question somehow in the body of it? Because the
Gotcha.
question will not necessarily be on tape.
Gotcha.
So what South Kent makes South Kent School special?
I think what makes South Kent School special is our ability to keep in mind the unique aspects of our student body and then build programs to address those unique characteristics. So for example, building an academic program that leverages the athletic experience that many of our students have on a daily basis. I think our ability to do that enables our students to thrive, where in other schools they may not have that chance.
So Kevin, tell us a little bit more about this academic program. We keep hearing the word mastery thrown around, and not everybody really understands it. Even people on campus don't necessarily understand exactly what mastery is. So in your opinion, what is mastery and why is it so successful for boys here at South Kent?
So what is mastery is the million-dollar question. And I think to answer it, we need to reflect on what the past 2.5 years has reminded us of. And I think it's reminded us how much the different constituents of our students sacrifice so that our students can be here. Whether it's teachers, whether it's caregivers and parents, they are sacrificing time, resources for their students to be here. And when we're reminded of that, an education experience which is defined by filling up these students with content knowledge, I think falls short of what those students deserve and what those constituents deserve after sacrificing so much time and so much resources for these students. And so imagine an academic program that, rather than focusing on content knowledge, focusing rather on these specific learning objectives that these students can develop over time, not just in the classroom space, not just in the dorm, but also athletically. And being able to work with these students year after year, developing on those learning objectives until they're able to transfer them beyond South Kent School to maybe post-secondary education and also eventually into the professional field. That is mastery at South Kent School.
Great, that's awesome.
Can we take a breath just for a second?
Yeah.
Can you, all wonderful elements, would you be able to tell me what mastery is in 20 seconds?
I can try.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, or just, yeah, like,
Just a terse overview. Mastery at its heart is, boom.
Okay. Mastery at its heart at South Kent School is working with students to develop certain skills that can be transferred to post-secondary education and to the professional world after graduation.
Perfect.
great.
Better than the first,
Oh, no, no,
Or-
this is fine.
the elevator pitch of the first.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We want to get a lot of B-roll, right? So
Yeah.
Lots of things we can go back to.
Right.
Do we want to mention too, like maybe we do a little nugget on how we're looking at the way boys learn
Right.
and how that brain knowledge really kind of informs mastery
Right.
and this new way of thinking, this new evolution of education.
Right.
Even if it's just like you don't have to get into science, just I would say like, you know, we're looking at how boys learn best by focus, you know, skills.
Right.
And focus on, you know, like you said, the other thing that's important is
Right.
the opportunity to revise,
Right.
and, you know, keep improving on those skills instead of just getting.
Right. Okay. So, mastery at South Kent School is really rooted in what we now know about learning science and about how learning happens in the brain. And learning in the brain is a iterative process. It doesn't just happen once, but those skills develop over many different attempts during the revision process. And incorporating that into our academic program is one of the key pillars of what makes mastery work with our specific group of students.
Okay, so I think that's good for that. We can move on from
Okay.
that. So, South Kent's mission to prepare young men to succeed in college, thrive as thoughtful and engaged citizens in a rapidly and intensely competitive world. Quite a mouthful,
Yes.
but it's a good mission. And how do you see that mission kind of living out, taking place on campus?
I think the best place within my role to see the fulfillment of the mission is actually the adoption of mastery here at South Kent School. The idea that learning should be targeted to certain skills that are transferable in post-secondary education and in the professional world, I see is the greatest fulfillment of our mission.
And if you were, you know, to say a few things about the advantages of a single-sex, why is that important? How does that really affect the boys in the classroom, on the field, or on campus?
I think so much of what I hear about single-sex education is that it allows boys to focus more. I look at it a little bit differently, and I think it allows us to develop programs that are targeted for boys and how adolescent boys develop. So, it's a little bit of a different perspective rather than focusing on what it allows the boys to do. I look at it as what it allows us to do, which I think it allows us to build programs that are deliberately designed for the development of an adolescent boy.
Awesome.
That's a great.
Yeah. Okay, so your best friend's family, they have some, 14-year-old boys, and they're looking around at other schools, and they're saying, what is it about South Kent? We want to come to South Kent, but what makes it special? What makes it different from some of the other schools? Why should I send my kid to South Kent?
I may not give the answer you're looking for.
That's okay.
I don't think South Kent is right for every boy. I think we are building programs for a specific type of adolescent boy. And not every adolescent boy will thrive here. And I think that's okay because it allows us to have a very specific, I'm going to say client, but I don't want to boil them down to clients, right? They're human beings. But this is not a school that's a catch-all. I think if we are building programs to try to appease every stakeholder, I think we won't be successful with any of them. I think we are able to build programs for a specific subset of adolescent boy, and I believe that we are doing it the best of any other school in the country and in the world. And I'm willing to plant that flag because I believe we are. But that doesn't mean that we're the right place for everyone. We are the right place for a specific subset of that group.
Makes sense, yeah. And what is it about South Kent that you love? Like, what kind of keeps you coming back every single day and showing up for your students? Being part of this.
What has kept me at South Kent School? What brought me to South Kent School is not a great story. It's just, my wife wanted to move to Connecticut. But what has kept me at South Kent School, I think, is really important, and that is my colleagues, right? The men and women that I work day in and day out with are why I stay at South Kent School and why I believe what we are doing here at South Kent School is the best of what's being done anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. And what I mean by that is some of these programmatic initiatives, we are really on the frontier of where education is going. And knowing that I have a group of colleagues who I can work with and I can lean on and they can support me is why I stay at South Kent School.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
Can I ask one question as
Sure.
possibly a naive parent? The whole sense of mastery, would you say there is science that shows or dictates that accomplishment-based education or accomplishment is more important than a numerical driven incentive? Is there science or research that might suggest that?
I think what the science suggests and what we know about how learning happens within the brain is that it isn't what happens the first time you experience some sort of sensory input. It's what you are able to build off of that over time and after absorbing different types of sensory inputs. The brain is sensing millions of different inputs at every moment of our lives, and it's not what we can do with those sensory inputs the first time they go through the learning cycle, but it's what we're able to build off of and be able to do after absorbing many different senses time and time again. And that is really what the foundation of mastery is. That it's not so much what you can do the first time you learn something, but it's what you're able to build over time and be able to do by the end, which is ideally, right, transfer that to a new scenario. And that's what mastery is building up to, is to take development on these learning objectives and be able to transfer it beyond the student's life here at South Kent School. And that, I think, is that's really a successful fulfillment of our mission, right? And knowing how much these different constituents are sacrificing for these students, that's a worthy goal of those resources that these constituents are sacrificing for their son and for their students to be here.
In fact, cultivating a life paradigm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. So Eden, you've been here for 4 years now?
This is actually my second year.
Second year,
Yeah.
okay. So what is it about South Kent School that has made it so special?
I think, I'm from Maine, really like small coastal town. I think what's special is I was suddenly introduced to a variety of cultures and playing on the soccer team with kids from around the globe, meeting kids from all different backgrounds, which I never would have had anywhere else. So that's, I think, been my biggest the thing I'm most grateful for, and the biggest like learning experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, coming from Maine to here is probably a jump, right?
Very big jump. Yeah.
At least it's a little warm.
Yes.
So what is your academic, more specifically, what is your academic experience like here? Talk a little bit about, how you've been learning in classrooms and how it may be a little bit different.
Right. I think the biggest difference is the block schedule. I had never been, focused on one course as intensely, and personally, I really enjoyed that because you're definitely able to go deeper into your subjects and kind of like learn more. I think the teachers are super supportive, and then they're really like comfortable and helpful around like working around your athletic schedules and commitments. So I think overall, it's just been like a really good growth stage for me, like on the field, but then also in the classroom, just because of the support. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Like on and off, a really good community here.
Definitely.
And what is it about the community here that kind of, makes it stand out? Like the way that upperclassmen treat underclassmen. What is it about the community?
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
I think the first thing is just like when you're on your team, like for me, you gain like a different bond with those people just because not only are you're living with them, eating with them, but then now you're competing, you're playing like blood, sweat, and tears into the same sport. So I think that's the biggest thing is like you're super close with the guys that you're always competing with. But then for like cross cohorts for this year, it's been like the IBL league, the intramural basketball that just started this last quarter. That was like the first time I was meeting a bunch of people, but suddenly now I have like really strong relationships, people across all the grades just because of this, and then loosening up with like kind of the table sitting for lunch. I've got to know a lot of different people. Once you meet one person from like cohort, then you start to like get to know the other guys, and then the game nights have been awesome. So I don't know, it's just like it's a really just brotherly feel because you know that if you know one guy, then you're gonna start to get to know everyone else. So.
And it's a small school. So
yeah, definitely. It's nice to put a name to the face and then, actually have some more like meaning behind it and like things you can talk about. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So if you, say your best friend from home, so someone from Maine, who knows nothing about boarding school life, knows nothing about, never heard of South Kent, what would you tell someone who was a prospective student about why they should come?
I think it's just like you can't find it anywhere else. Like again, like the international and just the different cultures and like people are from around the globe, around the country, and that's to me that just like that really stands out, especially with when you're competing because then you have kids with different play styles and just like different understandings of the game that you're playing. So then I don't know, that's just like the biggest like thing that stands out for me, and then. I always tell people just come into it with an open mind because like you're going to be pushed in every way. Just because you're suddenly living away from home. There's people that don't speak the same language as you necessarily, and then you're going to be pushed especially hard in your sport or whatever you choose, and then academically you're going to have a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You're getting pushed off the field in the classroom.
Yeah.
What is your relationship been like with your teachers and the adults on campus? I mean, do you feel bonded to them? Know them, better? Do they feel like family? What's your relationship been like with your teachers?
Yeah, definitely more of a family feel. I'd say just because now in my second year I've known everyone like a little bit more, so then I've been able to kind of like get deeper in these conversations and like get to know these people, their backgrounds and stuff. So it's definitely a really like nice feel and vibe in the classroom because everyone kind of understands each other a little bit more just from like living and eating together. So I think it's definitely just really nice, and it's it's hard to describe. It's just like you just feel super comfortable with wherever you are on campus because you have support from people. So
that's let's see. I think pretty much that's it. I mean, unless there's anything else you want to add about life in sports or what does a day in the life kind of look like for you?
I mean, I like to leave every day kind of having given it my all. So we have a long block in the middle of the day where we can kind of do whatever. So I usually go to the field or I'll work out in that period. And then after class we have another training. So yeah, I just kind of try to make the most of my time. That's just what I do, but
awesome.
it works well.
Ethan, can I ask you one thing?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's an international community collective. It's a lot different than what you're experiencing or have experienced in the past.
Mhm.
Are there any real surprises that you found out about other cultures or other places or things that have been a surprise to you, or how you react to those different cultures? Did it surprise you how you react?
I think yeah, definitely like some things, I guess, just like I don't want to say like politically, but just like their people's like understanding like the consensus of like different like topics and issues are like vastly different depending on where you've grown up. So I think I've always just tried to be like more reserved in like how I see it, but I think that's been like you're always just like sometimes taken back by like just the I don't know, it's very, very different than what I've grown up with. So I don't know, that's the biggest place to see it. So.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
All right. Get a sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good. And give me your full name, spell it, and your year of graduation.
Carl Lindstrom Svankvist, KarlLundström SVAHNQVIST, and 2023 or 2022 this year, but I'm taking a postgrad. So
You are taking a postgrad?
yeah, so I'm going to graduate twice basically.
Where are you going to take your postgrad?
Here.
Here? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. All right. So you guys are on.
All right. So
Try to look right about there. All right.
Yeah.
That's good.
you don't have to look at me. You
Yeah.
don't want to. Okay. Okay. So Carl, you said this is your first year here. What have you noticed just in the last year? I know it's been kind of an extraordinary year with the pandemic and coming off of that, but what have you noticed about campus that kind of stands out that makes South Kent School special?
I think like campus-wise, I think like being in the nature, kind of like every day you go outside and you can just look at the hills and the mountains. I think that's really special. Like you can see the sunset and the sunrise certain days. Like I've been taking many pictures like over the course of the year. I think that's special. Also like it's not just like one building, so you actually get to walk around certain buildings. So you like have nature in your everyday, like with school. And then like I play soccer, so you walk down to the field. I think that's kind of special as well.
That's great. Yeah, you can't beat this view, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to come up with 3 words, and this is kind of a tough one, so it's okay to think about it. If you're going to come up with 3 words that really describes, the vibe here, the community, your everyday life, what are 3 words that kind of come to mind?
I would say like nature, like I said before, probably togetherness, and then I would say hardworking, because I feel like, especially over like the last few months, we've been really together. Like with COVID, it was kind of hard, but the last few months we've really been together as a community, and I really like that. And I feel like almost everyone here is really hardworking, and they push you to like be more hardworking. I feel like that's a good word to describe South Kent.
Great. And when you talk about being hardworking, does that apply just on the soccer field, or?
I think it applies in like every area. Of course, on the soccer field, like sports is super important for me, but like in the classroom as well as just like going to chapel and things like that. Like just being a good citizen as well as just like working hard in like every aspect of school and life.
Yeah, that's great.
Could we get that answer one more time, just because we had a cart drive by? And Carl, preface it with about hardworking. I mean, put the question sort of in the answer a little bit. So why don't you prompt it?
So, tell us a little bit more about, hard work and what that means on campus.
Okay, so I feel like on campus, like you have hardworking like with your sport, but as well as you have that in the classroom and with chapel and like just going to everything. Like everyone is working hard in every aspect of school, so I feel like that pushes you, and that's why I feel like that's like a main word that would describe South Kent.
Right. So your best friend from home, you said you were from Mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
your best friend from Massachusetts, you know, brought up in kind of a public school environment, and he's thinking about coming to, you know, New England to go to a prep school. What is it about South Kent School that you would tell him is like the reason he should come here instead of somewhere else?
Like I feel like with sport and with school, it's like a good balance, as well as just like being in nature. And probably the main thing is the togetherness, like the community. I feel like we have a really good community, and that like really helps push you and like strive in certain areas with sport and with school. So I feel like community is like the biggest piece.
So when you talk about community, do you know, what has your relationship been like with, you know, your other, you know, brothers and also your teachers? You know, what has that been like for you? What's your experience been like with that?
I feel like all the teachers have been very like good, and I feel like I can get close to some of them. Like we get to sit with them at lunch tables and stuff like that. Like especially over the past like 2-3 months, like when we've really been together. As well as like now I get to know like other people from like the hockey team and the basketball team, as well as like just students. So I feel like that's like created a better community, because you're like basically like being with everyone, like in all aspects, like for meal times and other things as well.
Right. Yeah. How has your academic experience been here? Like, have you noticed any differences between like what the classrooms are like here and what the classrooms are like at your last school?
Yeah, I feel like class size, like our class sizes aren't really small, but I like the size of our classes, as well as like we're mixed with like other sports as well. So I think like the diversity and like the teaching style is different, but I really like it. Like I feel like I've been able to learn a lot.
Great. Okay. Is there anything else about kind of your day here, like a day in the life of Carl? What does it kind of look like, and you know, what parts of the day kind of make you excited, and really, you know, what part of your day do you look forward to?
I would probably say like I like going to class, like especially because I'm doing entrepreneurship now. Like I really like that class, so I think that's fun going to class every day. As well as training. I like meal times. It's fun because you get to talk to different people. And like our tables change, so you have different people to talk to, and like you really get to learn different people and how they live and like their cultures, because we have so many people from different countries and everywhere around the United States. So I really like that. So I'd say meal times, training, of course, but I like class as well. So yeah,
That's
those
awesome.
three.
Great. All right. I think that's it. That's all my questions.
If you could.
My name is Junquan Zhang, Junkunzhang.
And what's your graduation year?
I'm a junior this year. I'll be graduating next year, 2023.
You got it. All right, you guys are on.
So how long have you been at South Kent School?
I've been at South Kent for 3 years.
3 years. And what is it about South Kent School that you feel like makes it special compared to, you know, other places you've been?
I feel like the community, just in general,
And started with what I think makes South Kent special is,
Okay.
right?
What I think what makes South Kent so special is the brotherhood and all the friends and faculty that are in it, especially the connections that you can make. It's just remarkable how you can kind of continue that along and throughout your whole life.
And what is your relationship like with your teachers?
They're really, really good. It's not like the normal.
Again, put the
Oh,
question in first.
Yeah.
My
Sorry.
relationship with my teachers is really, really good. All right, you're on.
My relationship with my teachers is really, really good. It's not like a normal teacher to student where you normally just go and kind of chat about school. They have a genuine care for you and how you do not only in class but out of class.
Right. And what are the classrooms like? Like, what are the academics like here? Is it, how does it fit into your, you know, studies? And do you feel like it's, you know, a special place to learn?
Yeah, I do feel like it's a really special place to learn. the environment is really nice. All the students are really driven and passionate about what they really want to do, and just gives it a really good environment for everyone else to kind of study and just focus on what they wanted to do.
Great.
Would you say in the classroom there is a supportive or combative? Is it competition or is it a supportive environment in the classroom? Like will people aid you or bring you to good resolutions and solutions, or will they be competing with you? How do you feel in the classroom?
I feel like there's both. There's both a competitive aspect and a supportive aspect. Everyone wants to do their best and kind of achieve at the highest level, but they also support each other in terms of wanting each other to succeed as well.
Great. And what is it about South Kent School? If you were kind of talking to your best friend from home, what would you tell him is the reason he has to come to South Kent School?
I feel like the reason you have to come to South Kent is just the connections that you can make with anyone here. No matter what age group you're in, what cohort you're in, say athletic cohort, basketball, soccer, you can make a connection with anyone and you can become friends really easily.
Great. And do you play sports on campus or?
Yeah, I played for the soccer team.
You play for the soccer team. So what is it like on the soccer field compared to, all other aspects of life on campus? So what are some things you learn on the field, but you also kind of bring with you to other, elements, whether it's chapel or, the cafeteria or the classroom?
One thing that I bring from soccer is always being on time. For soccer, you always have to be on point. Not only when training starts, but you have to be there extremely early, like half an hour early, just get ready and prepared. So that's one thing I bring to chapel. You've always got to be early, around 5 to 10 minutes, around the class as well. That's just one thing that I bring to school.
That's great. Yeah, that's true. Or else father class, you don't know why. So be on time. Okay. If you had to choose 3 words that describe the school and your life here at South Kent, what are those 3 words? And it's okay if you have to think about it because it's kind of a hard question.
3 words I'd describe South Kent is passionate, diverse, and supportive.
Great. And why?
I feel like passionate, everyone's just passionate about what they wanted to do here. It seems like everyone has a driven mentality in terms of both athletic and academic. Diverse, you can see people from all different kinds of countries and just cohorts and what they really want to do. And you can see there's a really real mix between the cohorts, especially during lunch when there is assigned seating so everyone can communicate with each other, and support of everyone just has each other's back, and you can see that throughout the whole year.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Is there any one incident that has surprised you being here, or something that stands out as a one moment that you said, wow, I really love it here, or something happened here that was really kind of a special thing?
Not really. I just say my freshman year, I came from a public school, a middle school, and it was really small. And coming here, it's also very small, but the friends and then the experiences that I've had here with a few particular friends kind of shocked me, and how I knew that they were gonna be lifelong friends.
Great.
That's awesome.
Great. Yeah.
I want to come to South Kent.
Perfect. Yeah. First name, last name, spell it, and your graduation year.
So I'm Austin Hoadley, Hoadley, and I'm gonna graduate in 2024, and I play soccer here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, you guys are on.
Okay, cool. So this is your first year here.
Yeah.
Try to look at the camera though when you
Okay.
answer your question.
Just your first year here. What have you seen on campus that kind of makes South Kent School special?
Probably just like
A, when you Her voice will not be in the video.
Okay.
So when she asks you a question, what makes it special, answer it with the question.
Okay.
What makes this a special place, or
Yeah,
however you want to phrase it.
Okay. So, like, what makes this such a special place is, like, the tight-knit community we have. Like, you walk around campus and you see everyone of all, like, different ages hanging out together. And you can kind of tell because you pretty much know everyone on campus because it's such a small school. Like, I probably know almost everyone's name here. And I think that's just, like, really cool because, like, you're meeting people from all different backgrounds, coming from everywhere, and, like, it's a cool experience to meet those kind of people, especially me coming from a small town.
Yeah. What is it about, the environment in Kent itself, as a town that makes it great? That you love?
Well, I think a lot of people who come here, like, they're not used to being around such a small place and being in, like, kind of the middle of nowhere. And it's a different change for everyone, but I think most people tend to like it because it's kind of isolated and there is chances to get out, but yeah, I think everyone finds it, like, kind of peaceful. And then with, like, our little it's kind of like our own town here. So, like, you can, like, just hang out with your friends and do what you like, and it gives you a lot of free time to do that stuff.
That's great, yeah. And what would you say, just kind of thinking about the different aspects of life on campus? You've got your academics, you've got your sport. What is life like, in the classroom? Like, has it, does it differ from what you're used to? How has it helped you kind of grow as a student?
So, like, coming from a public school background, I went to elementary school and everything, but coming from that kind of background, it's a lot different because, like, I was inside all day and taking, like, 7 classes a day, going from class to class with only 5-minute breaks. Here, it's so much more, like, more freedom in your academics and in your classes. Like, we only have 2 classes a day, but, like, those 2 classes, you're, like, interacting with your teachers, you're going outside and interacting with your classmates as well. It's, like, a completely new experience for me, like, academically, and I've tended to like it better because of that freedom, and I get to go outside, use the environment in order to, learn. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Seems like a really cool new kind of way to learn. And
yeah, definitely.
What is it about, you're a soccer player, and obviously that is a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
What have you learned on the field that kind of you can bring with you, like, to other aspects of your life, from chapel to, your community and, your friendship? Even the school, the school aspect, the academic aspect.
Like, being a soccer player and, learning what Coach Finberg has taught us. He mostly just teaches us to be, like, respectful and good people at the end of the day. And I think he also teaches team bonding a lot. So I think learning to be able to work with others has been, kind of pushed into us. And I use that every day in class, because we're doing a lot of group projects and everything. And just kind of being respectful of everyone, like in chapel, even if you don't believe, if you're not a Christian, you're still there just to show that you kind of support them. And, like, not everything we learn through the soccer program is going to benefit us with soccer. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like to be a good person in your life because, your life is not going to revolve around soccer your entire life. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, South Kent kind of just brought me here and just kind of taught me the right way to act. And I think that was beneficial for anyone who comes here.
That's great. And I know you're local, but if you were trying to get one of your public school buddies to come to South Kent, like, what would be the thing that you would say? What is it that, like, what is the reason to come here instead of going, anywhere else?
I think it's because, like, if I was gonna try to get someone to come here, like, I think I'd just say that everyone's close. You know what I mean? Like, in a huge public school, you have, say, 500 to 1,000 kids that you probably don't even know. And at South Kent, you're so close with everyone. learn to be friends with everyone. It's a whole new experience, and it will benefit you in the long run, even if you don't are a little uneasy about it at first. By the end of the year, you will just completely be within the community, and it'll be a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, some your friendships, the brotherhood, what it's been like to bond with other, teammates and students, and also even, your teachers?
Especially coming from public school, you're not as close with your teachers as you are here. Like, your teachers come up, you're around your teachers way more, so you have time to bond with them even more. So, like, your teachers come up to you in the dining hall, and you have actual, like, the normal conversations with them, like they're one of your friends. But then in the classroom, like, you respect them and they teach you, and it's just a good, bonding experience. And coming here in the first part of the year, it was a little different for me, because especially I'm a young kid on a soccer team with mostly 18, 19-year-olds. But, like, by the end of the year, we're all so close. Like, it doesn't matter the age. It's more of just your experiences. Like, and you're all experiencing the same thing here, so you can kind of bond over that.
Great. Yeah, I think I got all my questions answered.
Perfect. You guys go downtown much or not?
So occasionally, like on the weekends, though, it'll be.
You a Wilson's or a Gifford's guy?
I'd say Gifford's.
Gifford's.
It's been around longest. It's a town special.
Yeah. Good sandwiches.
That's true.
But I haven't really asked anybody else either. But it might be good for a first year student here. On the weekend, you talked a little bit about how there's, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? What kind of stuff do you guys do on the weekends? Like, what do you do for fun when you're not, going to class or working out?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it completely depends on the time of year too.
Yeah.
Like in winter, it's a little slower because there's not as much thing to do. But that's when the faculty will like create trips to go, into town or into New Milford or Danbury, just for people to get out and kind of be in the world a little bit more. But in the spring, I like the spring. Probably it's one of my favorite seasons here, because none of the sports are like actually very intensely in season, and it gives you way more opportunities to like just hang out with from anyone from any team. You know what I mean? Like, some of the sophomores, like hockey players and basketball players, will go and play pickleball up on the tennis courts, or spike ball or volleyball or whatever. So you can kind of keep yourself pretty busy. Like, a lot of people fish down on Lewis Lagoon, and it's just there is a lot of things to do when you find the free time, and it keeps you busy on the weekends.
Great. Awesome.
Nice.
Nice.
You guys ever hike?
So how long have you been on South Campus?
This is my first year here.
Oh, this is your first year. Okay.
Yes.
And you're a soccer player.
Yes.
Cool. So what is it about, South Kent School that, I know it's your first year. What is it that has made it kind of special for you?
Probably being able to meet a bunch of new guys.
Could you preface that by saying what's made this special for me? Because her question won't be in it.
Okay. What's made this special for me is probably meeting bunch of new teammates, all the new people at the school, and the new teachers, and just being able to go off campus. The school taking us to the malls and stuff, and just having a good time when it's warm out and stuff, even when it's cold out too. But
yeah. Where are you from originally?
I'm back from Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston. Okay. So what is it about, Kent itself, Kent and the surrounding areas, that you've liked about this place? Is it? I mean, it's probably similar weather, but what is it about day-to-day campus life?
I like how everything is set up here. It's not as busy, because back home there's just everything's going at a million miles per hour, and here everything's calm and quiet. It's not loud, so it just makes it feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. What is it like like I don't know what kind of schools you went to before,
Mm-hmm.
but what is it about like South Kent School like in the classroom? What makes the academics special? What is there certain things that they do here that kind of helps you grow as a student?
Some of the things that help are like the size of the classroom. Like back in my old school, some of the classrooms were a little smaller, maybe like 4 or 5 kids in a class. But here, I like how the classrooms are the sizes, all the kids are like friendly and teachers are friendly too. And the teachers like want to help you succeed and see you do better in life.
That's awesome. And what it like besides it sounds like you have a good relationship with some of your teachers. What do those relationships mean to you, and what are the relationships with the other boys and your teammates mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm hoping that like I can stay in contact with everyone here for a while.
I feel that's good, but say relationships here that can't mean a lot to me. Preface it with relationships.
Okay.
Yeah.
The relationships here at South Kent, they mean a lot to me. And the relationships I have with my teacher, they've gone like a lot better over the years too. And here especially because all the teachers here are like really nice and like kind and loving, and they want to see us have fun too. And all the students here, everyone like, they all care for each other. It's like a brotherhood here pretty much.
That's awesome. What kind of stuff do you guys do for fun?
If we're not playing soccer, where we'll either be in the dorm while hanging out in someone's room watching soccer games, or sometimes we'll go to Walmart on the weekends or go to the mall or the movies.
Nice. Are there anything, you're a soccer player, and I know like that's super important, obviously. Are there things you've learned like from coach and on the soccer field from your teammates that you've kind of been able to apply to other aspects of your life here at South Kent, like in the classroom or at chapel or during your other activities?
Yeah, there are a few things that I've learned. One thing is he's just like class excellence and respect here, and he wants us to be like a family, and it kind of goes with like in class too. Like I feel that way because we're all like so close to each other, and we all just like want to have fun and stuff.
That's awesome. Let me think what else. So are there certain things, say you have a buddy from back home that is thinking about coming to South Kent. What would you tell him about the school that would kind of hopefully make him come here? Like what's something that makes South Kent School special that you could help convince you to bring one of your old buddies here?
Well, I actually do have someone back home that's looking at coming here next year for soccer. And I spoke to him a little bit about the school, and I told him that he'll really enjoy it. It's like a brotherhood. Everyone here is nice and loving. And for coach too, he really cares about his players, and he will get you to play at the next level into a really good school.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I think that works. Yeah. Any surprises since you've been here? Any special moment that said, "Wow, this place is really unusual," or "I met a really great guy," or whatever?
Well, my favorite moment here would probably be when we won the championship title for soccer. Everyone, like, there was a bunch of teachers that drove out to come watch. It was just amazing.
Great. Perfect. You guys are good to go.
Awesome. So this is your second year, so you're kind of the ropes these days. What are some things that you think kind of make South Kent School so special?
I think the thing that makes South Kent most special is just a small community. Everyone really knows each other. There's a lot of opportunity to really grow together, and because we're going through the same schedule and we're living together every day and playing the same sports and attending each other's sports and cheering each other on, and obviously in class too. you grow really, really tight with all the other students and really get to know them in every aspect of their life.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about what the community is like here? And, a lot of people have been talking about the brotherhood, relationship with teachers.
Yeah, the brotherhood, it has kind of a lot of meaning. I've really been able to see it in the past 2 years. Been able to, even though there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the outside world and even within the school, especially during last year, a lot was changed because of COVID. But being able to stay together and be going through similar situations and be able to connect with each other about being homesick or being frustrated in your sport, or you might have an injury and you're really frustrated with it. Being able to bond over those kind of things, especially when there's not many students, and it's all boys as well, obviously. So you become very, very, very close with everyone, and it just really becomes a supporting community, and everyone just wants to see each other succeed.
That's awesome. And have you, Coach Chills is such a, great guy. And I know that he likes to say, I look for guys with character, not characters. What are some things that you've learned from Coach that have kind of really stayed with you, and have you been able to kind of apply it in other aspects of your life?
Well, there's a lot of things that Coach Chills has taught me and that I've learned in the past 2 years on the court. I think the number one thing that we preach is the brotherhood. So a lot of that is just toughness and togetherness. That we always talk about that at practice. And like you had mentioned, the character. You want guys with character. You don't want characters. Guys who really are willing to sacrifice themselves, and it's not going to be all about themselves. We want guys, and Coach Chills wants guys to be a part of a team, and it's not going to be a one-man show, or it's not going to be all about showcasing one or two guys. It's going to be how can everyone help each other succeed, and that means winning games, and that means getting scholarships and winning NEPSAC championships, hopefully, and national championships.
Great, yeah. And you call yourself a student athlete, right? It's kind of like on the field, on the courts, and then in the classroom, all the other things that are part of your South Kent life here. What are some things that you've noticed that are kind of different about South Kent in the classrooms and on the academic side?
I think a lot of it is because of the high level athletics. There's obviously a lot of high level competitors here, and so that's obviously showcased on the field or the ice or the court, but also in the classroom. People are always really competitive, which obviously increases everyone's ability to understand. And overall, I think having the students playing sports together and being able to bond over such a common thing in sports, and even guys from different sports in the training rooms together, getting rehab, or in the weight room together. Those relationships flow over to the classroom and give you something to bond with, and a reason to already have a friendship with a guy. So then when it's in the classroom, you don't feel as scared asking a question, or you're able to put yourself out there and be more vulnerable because of the relationships and the trust you have with the other guys.
That's great, yeah. And then what is it, if you had, I don't know, where are you from, by the way?
Yeah, so I'm from Amherst, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say you have a buddy from Amherst that's, he's thinking about coming here, or he's looking at boarding schools. What would you tell him about South Kent to kind of make him decide to come?
I think if one of my friends wanted to explore boarding schools and I was going to talk to them about South Kent, I think the thing that I would talk to them most about is being able to kind of go out your comfort zone and be willing to push yourself and take chances and take risks, and be willing to put yourself out there and make mistakes and mess up, because South Kent it's a place where you can mess up, and people are there to catch you and support you. And as long as you're willing to work to make up for your mistakes, people are going to support you. So I just think it's a place about really challenging yourself, seeing how far you can push yourself, and then if you do fail, there's such an amazing community and so many amazing people here that can help keep propping you up, and you really enjoy the experience. It becomes very beneficial overall.
That's so nice. Yeah. And then finally, I mean, this is an easy one, but what kind of stuff do you guys do around here for fun? I mean, I know you're doing a lot of sports, and you're always in class. But is there stuff you can do on the weekends and fun stuff you got to do with your friends? This shouldn't be a hard one.
Unfortunately, I think it is a little bit. I mean, I think the main thing that I really do is really just, there isn't a lot of stuff to do outside of athletics and outside of homework, and we don't really have too much extra time, but usually it's kind of just spent resting in our rooms, watching movies together. We're usually all exhausted from the homework and class, and then usually working out once or twice a day, so we're all usually pretty tired and not wanting to do anything that would require too much energy. So a lot of the time in the dorms is kind of just hanging around, pranking each other, trying to find ways to pass the time, watching movies, just really having fun, not taking ourselves too seriously.
That's great. Awesome. That's all I have.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're
Sounds
good.
Cool.
Are on.
All right. So so I kind of, you've been here for 2 years?
No, first year.
This is your first year?
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Cool. And where are you from?
Maryland.
Maryland.
Yes,
Nice.
ma'am.
All right. So, first year here. Clearly you're a great basketball player. What else on campus has really stuck out to you as being really special about this?
So I'll say the brotherhood, since it's all
And Nate, when you answer the question, put her question into your answer. So you're like, what really has stood out to me is the brotherhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, so what's really stood out to me is the brotherhood. So all of us being together, so tight knit, and in a very tight knit community. Kids from the hockey team, soccer team, I'm really good friends with all of them. So the connection I made with them is really special to me.
That's awesome.
And try to keep your eyes in one direction, either towards the camera or towards Kirsten.
Okay.
Either one is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you talk to her, it's fine.
All right.
So, the brotherhood you talk about and the community everyone talks about. What is your relationship like with some of your teachers and your coach?
So my relationship with my teacher, I'll use that first, is that it's very son to parent type relationship. It's my teachers are always there for me and they want to do the best for me, and they want me not to fail, to win the pass. And my coach, so it's my first year with Coach Chills, and he's like my father figure here. He tells me everything to do, what to do right and wrong, and he's been a really big step in my life.
That's amazing. And he, I know he's got some really quotable lines. I've heard some of his great speeches.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that he said to you that's really resonated, and also that you've been able to take with you to other aspects of your life other than on the court?
So things he says to me is you get so you put in what you get. So if you put in 100%, you're gonna get 100%. You put in 10%, you're gonna get 10%. So everything I do in life, I try to do the best I can so that I can at least be happy with my result.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I have to start doing that more, right? We all have to do that. And then what has life been like for you, in the classroom? It's obviously a little different setup here, the block scheduling, and you're not taking a bunch of different classes at once. So can you talk a little bit about that and what your experience has been like, how it's helped you kind of learn?
So the classroom setup is really good. It's the teachers are really focused on you. I think it helps you learn my subjects a lot more easier. And then it's really different from regular high school. I take probably 8 classes a day in my regular high school. And now it's I only take 2 per quarter. So it's I'm learning a lot more. I'm actually learning stuff this time.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a really nice setup, and it probably works well with the athletic schedule as well, right? You said you're from Amherst, right?
I'm from Maryland.
Oh, Maryland.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got some buddies back in Maryland. They're
Yeah.
thinking about coming to a school, maybe
Mhm.
even a boarding school.
Uh-huh.
What would you say to one of your buddies back in Maryland that, like, to convince them to come to South Kent?
So the South Kent, I'll be like, you know, it's one of a kind. Cause usually when I go home for like spring break or something, I kind of miss this place a little bit because it's like really different. And to convince them to come here, it's like, it's great, you know. It's like surrounded like a bunch of boys, not really distractions. And if you like sports, it's a good place to come to, and you can get like a lot of things you need to help you in life.
Great.
Mhm.
Awesome. What else? So, you know, what your average day here on campus,
Mhm.
is there something specific that you really look forward to?
Like every day. I like the breakfast here a lot, so I usually wake up every day and I come and eat breakfast, and then yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
Do you guys eat together for breakfast?
We used to during the season. Coach Chill used to make it mandatory, but we don't do it anymore. It's like after season, it's like you're on your own basically right now.
Okay, so it's kind of like your quiet time.
Yeah, it's a quiet time. Yeah.
What else do you guys do for fun around here? Like during your quiet time when you don't have to work, and you don't have to go play basketball. What kind of stuff do you do for fun?
So for me, me and my other friends, we went golfing, like because the school has a golf course. We went golfing, and then I just went fishing yesterday. So I do like a lot of different things. I do whatever the school's like activities for the day on like the weekend and stuff. I do that too.
Have you tried any of like the adventure?
Yeah,
stuff?
I have before. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I think that's as much as I have. But is there anything else?
Anything surprised you over this time here? Anything,
Yeah,
any like major
Yeah.
surprise?
So what really surprised me, because my first time coming to South Kent, I never viewed this school. My first time here was my first day here on school. So what really surprised me is that like the nature and stuff, like the mountains and stuff, it was like really like mountainous and stuff. And then also the block schedule. Like I can do a lot being here than I could at like a regular day school. Like at my old school, I probably had to wake up like 5:30 to go like get dressed and go to school. Now I can wake up at like 7:30. So it's like my sleep was like increased too.
That's great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Everyone needs more sleep.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good.
Yeah, we are good.
Some great answers. Thank you. All right, Carol. So let's keep it cash.
Okay, it's all
cool.
cash.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so just as a refresher for me, you had 4 boys who went here, and so you have kind of like the perspective from a parent, and you also have the perspective from someone who works here. And
Yes.
you see kind of everything in action.
I do.
So if you were to kind of describe South Kent using 3 words, you know, what are 3 words you would use and why?
So the first word that I would describe South Kent would be family. And the reason I say that is because my boys spent 4 years on this campus, and South Kent became an extended family to me. And I'm probably going to you get rid of some things that I hate to. I do. No, I'm going to say and I've always said this because it's a close knit community. We had faculty here that my boys to just go over to their house and have dinner, and those same people would come to our house on the weekend for family gatherings. I trusted them to help me raise my children, and when I would talk about the school in those days, I would always say, these people helped raise my children. They are who they are because of the extended family here. One point in cases, my son Stephen, he's a cyclist into his early 30s. And the reason he is a cyclist is because his advisor in his 3rd form, John Funk, introduced him to cycling. And he was an avid cycler. I think he cycled on the pre-pro circuit. And before you knew it, Stephen was racing and cycling with John's contemporaries. And those were the things that were brought into their life that they would not have gotten in a public school.
Caroline, can you keep your notes on your lap? Because if you use your hand, that
okay.
waves up in the air. I mean, refer to it when you
Okay.
want, but if you can keep it on your lap, because your hands will come up.
Okay. Do I need to do all that over?
No.
No, that was great. That was
Okay,
awesome.
you sure? Okay.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Okay. Let me just quick look at my other
Yeah.
one. So,
So we can start from like the next
okay, the next word.
that
Okay.
makes you...
Okay. The next word I would use to describe South Kent School would be self-reliant. And that word comes from one of our founding principles. So it's kind of interesting. Self-reliance is one of our 3 founding core principles. And the reason I use that word to describe describe this is because it still rings true from our founding from 1923 until today. But when my boys were here, I saw more and more as they came home for vacations and spring breaks of their own self-reliance. They became less dependent on me in the physical aspect to do different things for them, laundry and whatnot. And no, Mom, I can do that. You don't need to do that. And they became more interested in having conversations for advice. And that to me came from learning the principles here, being self-reliant. I felt like I kind of ended that on a bad spot. Okay.
No, that's good.
No, that was great.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me just get my other one here.
You got one more?
I have one more. I have one more.
I love it. This is great.
Okay, so the third one I would use to describe the best of South Kent is growth. And growth is learned by accountability and taking on responsibilities in your environment. Maybe you'll be a little scared to take on those responsibilities, but you will do it. And I feel like our jobs program, our extracurricular program, our athletics, commitments, our peer counseling are all things that South Kent is filling our kids' toolboxes with these tools to take with them as they mature and go on in life, and they'll be able to handle real world issues because they've been able to have this growth here.
That's awesome.
I'm kind of like, okay.
You're doing good.
Doing okay?
Great. Don't worry.
Okay.
You're doing better than most people.
Okay.
So don't worry.
Okay. So
all right, let's move on.
Okay.
All right. So, what is something that South Kent School, and again, you've seen this from many perspectives, but what is something that you think it's really helping other boys? Sorry, let me rephrase.
Well, I said, okay, I have what, can I talk on this? Is that okay? Okay, what can South Kent School offer boys that you won't find at other schools?
Perfect.
Okay, can
That's
I just
the
go
one.
from there? Okay.
Yes. Let's do that one.
So there were two aspects of South Kent School that I was completely sold on. One of them was that it was single-sex education, which was very important to me and my husband. And the other one was that it was a small community. I didn't want my boys going to a school where there were 500 or 700 students. I knew that my boys would not be getting lost in the fray. I knew that people would know them personally, that if they didn't show up to a commitment, they would want to know why and go seek them out. They knew if their attitude changed a little bit or they were feeling down, they could recognize that immediately and they would go and say to them, do you need some help? Do you need someone to talk to? Although foreign at first because they were raised in the public school system in a co-ed space, they came to love the single-sex education. I think it helped foster their confidence and it allowed them to be really who they are without worrying that they were going to do something wrong just to say in front of the girls, and allow them to be who they really needed to be.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you're allowed to.
One of our other questions.
Okay, rolling.
So, how did SKS prepare my sons for life?
Yeah.
I think most importantly, SKS allowed my sons to be independent thinkers. They didn't follow the crowd or the conventional thinking, which I really love. Back then, you call it, they were kind of thinking out of the box. And they grew up in a very small town, and I like that they didn't stay stagnated in that town. I loved that they knew boys from all over the world, so they had perspectives. They had a worldwide perspective living on this tiny little hillside, which really helped them be well-rounded young men. And it gave them a different perspective to be able to be open to many different viewpoints and be critical thinkers.
Great.
That's
wonderful.
Okay.
Look at all the things that South Kent School does.
Yes. See, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
now you're meeting with a family, right? You're
Now
meeting with a family. They're trying to choose between South Kent School and maybe some of the other schools in the area.
Okay.
Why South Kent School?
Okay. So I would say to them, honestly, choosing a school for your child is a very personal decision. Let's face it, schools have academics, they have extracurricular activities, they have beautiful facilities, they have sports, high end, middle end, all of that. So you have to decide what's going to be, how are we going to make this decision here? And I would say you have to visit the campus. You have to stay here for the day. You have to walk around. You have to go into the dining hall. You have to go into the classroom and see the vibe and feel the vibe from these kids. Do you feel welcome? Are the boys making you feel welcome? Are the faculty making you feel welcome? Are they saying hello to you as you walk by? Could you see yourself being easily accepted onto this campus? And all of those answers are resounding, absolutely yes, you could. The one thing I do know is I have several friends that have restaurants right in town, and I am constantly being told by them that your boys are the most courteous, the nicest, the most polite boys, and that says something about how we are as a community here.
So true. Just saying them on camera has been eye-opening for me.
Yeah, they're awesome. Okay, so my last one, he said you could say anything else you wanted.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna wait. Hi. Okay.
So what's one, like, what do you want to leave us with?
Okay, and I might have to do a little bit of looking at this. I'm going to leave you on this note. I've been here for almost 15 years, and I'm constantly, over the different years from the boys, you hear the word brotherhood. And my own son, Jesse, talked about that in his Prize Day speech as head prefect. He talked about the brotherhood here. And as I sat there and I listened to him talk about this community of brothers, this whole new community of brothers that he now has, and he compared it to the relationship with his three brothers, I felt such a pride that I had instilled that, and his father had instilled that. Ugh, getting my tongue tied. As I sat there and listened to him talk about this community of brothers, knowing that his father and I had instilled that in him, and he found a similar relationship with his brothers on the hillside. So I have to leave with you saying it really is, it's a true brotherhood, and the boys believe that, and they show it every day. Yeah.
As quick and as concise as you can. Ready? Go ahead. Give her the first one.
3 words to describe South Kent School.
Family, growth, self-reliance.
Perfect.
That one was easy. What can South Kent School offer boys that you wouldn't find at other schools?
Single sex? No, that's wrong.
No, we're in an elevator.
Yeah, we're in an elevator.
And use the question.
Okay.
Use the question, which you can find in.
Okay. Single sex education and community, small size classes, faculty that treat them like their own children.
Now, do that again, but preface it by saying what you can find at the South Kent School.
Or what South Kent School offers that you won't find at other schools.
What you're going to find at South Kent School is a community of faculty and staff that care about your boy just as much as a parent does, which that's a lie. Okay.
Now the truth. Ready?
What you're gonna
hold on.
Love them like family.
What you're gonna find at South Kent School is a small community, single-sex education, where faculty know your child on a personal basis and will help raise your child. And it's just
That's good. No, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's off the cuff.
Okay.
Boom. All right. Give it the
Next one. How did South Kent School prepare your son for life? And your sons, I should say.
South Kent School prepared my sons for life by allowing them to think for themselves, to take on the responsibility to be a critical thinker and make decisions that were in their best interest and the best interest of their brothers around them.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, so why come to South Kent before any other prep school?
What did I say about that?
It's a personal choice.
A personal choice.
Hold on.
You feel the vibe in the classroom,
Okay.
in the dining hall, and see how that makes your son feel. And you feel welcome and you accept.
All right, prompt her again with the
So
question.
the question.
Why come to SKS before another prep school?
You're going to come to South Kent School because
It's okay.
You're going to.
Hold on. Take your time. Take a breath. Go.
Okay. South Kent School should be the choice for you because this is a community. You're going to come to this campus, you're going to spend a few hours here, and when you leave, you're going to know that this is the right place for your son because it makes him feel like he is part of a larger community where he can still be himself, though.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Okay.
See how these are rolling off? For
Yes,
Tom?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think the last one was
It was just about Jesse and
yeah.
the brotherhood.
So tell us a little bit about what brotherhood meant to your sons and
Okay.
what it means to you.
My son Jesse, who was head prefect, in his address to the school on Prize Day, he mentioned brotherhood. We hear that a lot here. And as the mother of 4 sons, and Jesse also having 3 brothers, he knows what it is to have a relationship with brothers. He knows what a brotherhood is. So when he compared that on the day that he was leaving here, I know that he felt it inside because he already knows what that brotherhood feels like. And he was now telling this group of 50 boys that they were also his brothers.
That is great. Now try that and try to take it a little slower, but it's a great answer because it's about the brotherhood. You're addressing the brotherhood and the brotherhood your son felt during a speech. So it was so heartfelt that brotherhood meant so much to him. Go ahead, try it.
When Jesse gave his Prize Day speech as head prefect, he talked about the brotherhood. That's something that Jesse knows about because he is one of 4 of my sons. He knows what it's like to have 3 brothers and have that relationship with them. He knows the closeness of it. He knows he can trust them with his most private secrets, his most personal thoughts. For Jesse to compare the boys in front of him to his brothers gave me immense pride that not only did I instill that in him, but we found a school for him that gave him the exact same thing.
Touchdown.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay. So we're just gonna have a cash conversation. If you say something you mess up, you could start over.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna start by asking you, because you're a first year, what has this first year been like for you? What kind of have you noticed that kind of makes South Kent special?
The community. I think the community is well.
Before you say that, put her question in your answer. Say what makes it special for me is the community.
Okay.
Yeah, because my questions will not be on the.
Okay. So what is it?
So is it? Tell me, why your first year was special at Kent.
Okay.
South Kent School is special because.
South Kent School is special because the community is amazing. It's great. It's well knit. It's close, and everyone is friends. You don't know anyone. That's. I don't know what I say there.
Yeah.
Can I restart?
Yeah, restart.
Okay.
Why is South Kent School special to you?
Okay, I gotta think about it for a second.
It's okay. Take a beat.
Yeah, I know everyone. Yeah, it's
You're
just,
a first year and you've already kind of met everyone.
yeah,
right?
exactly. All right. South Kent School is special because the community is close knit. I know everyone. Everyone's really nice, and yeah, that's about it.
Great. And if you were going to come up with a couple of words to describe South Kent, so what would it be to describe South Kent if you came up with like 1 or 2 or 3 words?
2 or 3 words that would describe South Kent would be fun. I gotta think about it. Like honestly, I don't know.
It's hard, right? I'm putting you on the spot.
Is it fun, friendly, and beautiful? Is it fun, playful, fun,
Competitive is a good one.
Yeah.
Fun, competitive, and hardworking.
There you go.
All
Try
right,
that.
Well, hardworking. Whatever.
3 words to describe.
3 words to describe South Kent would be fun, competitive, and hardworking.
One more time.
3 words that describe South Kent would be fun, competitive, and hardworking.
Great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the academic life at Kent, South Kent. Tell me about the academic program here, and how it's kind of helped you, how it's been different from what you're used to, and what are your mastery of skills? How are they assessed this year?
Okay. So some differences at South Kent School compared to other schools in grading would be the letter to word grading.
You know, at another school, they would say, you've got an A, great job, and that's about it. Here, if you get the highest grade, they still give you stuff to work on, and the feedback's great. Yeah, you know, they grade on your, like, how do I say it? Success or
Look at
like
your skills.
progress. They grade on your progress. Or should I restart?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Some differences at South Kent compared to other schools in grading would be the letter to word grading. You know, they give you a letter at different schools. At South Kent, they give you a word. Mastering, achieving, approaching, all different. If you get one and you improve, yeah, they give you more to work on. So yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about like the revision process? Like you have kind of the opportunity. It sounds like you guys kind of have an opportunity to just keep improving. You know, if you write a paper and something's not right, you have an opportunity to revise. Tell me like how that has helped you kind of grow as a student.
Okay. Yeah, instead of screwing up on a paper and not knowing what you did wrong, they really give you a second chance and to involve revision into your paper. And yeah, I think that's pretty good.
That's awesome. What was your favorite project you did this year?
Ooh, it's gotta be the Roman political game at South Kent, Humanities 1 with Mr. Brennan. We all get our different characters. Everyone in the class gets their different characters, and each week there's an election, and you try to get elected to be council. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Who are you?
I'm Demetrius Anahobarbus. If you know who that is.
Okay, it says why. What did you do with your classmates? But you just described that. So let's go to the next one. Could you explain any impact on your motivation in humanities class from not getting a letter grade until the end of the quarter? Like, was your motivation changed because you didn't get a letter?
All right. Well, I gotta think about this one. Like, if I got like a certain grade on something.
Like, say you had gotten instead of getting, you know, I don't know what they give you. They give you like mastery versus an A.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what difference does it make to use that system instead of using like being so focused on grades?
It gives you a chance to really learn. Instead of focusing on a grade or a letter grade, you get to learn, or you got to focus on what you're learning and improve on that. If you really focus on a letter grading, you're kind of just rushing, learning about, like just kind of remembering it all before you really learn it.
Great, that's a good answer. And how would you best describe the mastery education if you had to kind of put it into words?
It's more focused on improvement than real, just grade.
Great. Maybe I'll ask you a couple more general questions. You're a soccer player, right?
I am a soccer
player. So obviously you're learning tons of stuff on the field to kind of better you as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that like kind of sticks out to you that you've learned on the field that you've kind of been able to take with you off the field, like into the classroom at chapel?
I would love to like remember a quote that Coach Fimberg said, but I just can't.
That's okay. You don't have to remember a quote. Just even if it's just something like a lesson you've learned or.
Coach Fimberg really likes the thought of excellence on and off the field. That means giving your best at everything you do, and I think I've integrated that into my education.
Awesome. Let's see.
So I don't want to interrupt you. I think you guys got rescheduled for another time. I'm supposed to be 1:30. I have another meeting, so I can't be able to do it.
All right. Okay.
What's that?
We have to reschedule him because he was supposed to be at 1:30.
Who was? He was. Oh. Okay. You want to take him now?
Let me see if I can take him.
See if you can take him.
So basically, we're just kind of getting your thoughts on life at South Kent, what makes it special, you know, why do you love it here, you know, how are the boys different, stuff like that. So
Whenever you guys are ready.
If you could tell me your first, last name, spell it, and give us your position here at
Yeah.
the school.
Raphael Chilius, last name spelled Chillious. Athletic director, director of basketball, head prep basketball coach.
And is Raphael with a PH or F?
PH.
RAPH.
AEL.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll just get going here. what is something at South Kent that South Kent School offers boys that they won't find at other schools?
What South Kent offers boys that you won't find at other schools, there's so many opportunities to find out who they are outside that specific thing which may have drawn them here. You know, our staff, faculty, head of school, administration does a great job of putting kids in situations here that may be unfamiliar to them, and they start to find out more about themselves as they pull back the layers of the onion.
That's great, yeah. And you know, we've talked to a lot of your boys from the courts, and we asked them what are some things that they've learned, in your on the courts that they kind of have brought with them, out into the world and even just on campus here. So, what are some pieces of advice you'd like to give your players to try to keep them focused on not only basketball but also just student athlete life?
Well, just life in general, we're highly accountable to all of our actions and everything we do. Number two would be we leave everything better than we found it. And so if one of my players walked in here and there was a piece of paper on the floor, that piece of paper would probably be gone when they left. So we leave it better than we found it. And the overarching thing in our program is we say empty your bucket. And that means give everything you have and everything you do. That's both on the court and off the court. And every day there'll be something positive that happens for you, but you have to empty your bucket to do it. You have to stretch yourself.
That's awesome. If you were gonna come up, and this is kind of a hard one, so it's okay, take a moment to think about it. If you were to come up with 3 words, you have to sum it up in 3 words about what South Kent School is. What were those?
Perseverance, exploration. That's more than one word, hyphenated.
Okay, we'll take it.
And I would say determination. Those would be the characteristics I would say about most of our boys. After they leave here, definitely the vast majority of the boys, they're going to be guys who can persevere through multiple things. They're going to have self-exploration ability to reflect on themselves, and then they're determined. This is a very determined group of kids here.
We take that from the top?
Yep, I'll try not to stop.
No, that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. You're thinking about it.
Yeah. You don't
Go ahead, Pop.
Okay, I was gonna say, what are 3 words that you would use to best describe South?
Perseverance, self-exploration, and determination. I think the boys, when they leave here, maybe not coming in the door, but they learn how to persevere through difficult times with themselves, with teammates, with colleagues, classroom. They learn to persevere through things with the help of the adults in the community as well as their fellow students. And then the next thing is self-exploration, is that one of our tenets is self-reliance, but part of being able to become self-reliant is being able to explore yourself and be reflective and look in the mirror and say, what is it about me that's great, or what is it about me that needs to change? And then we have a determined group of kids here. It's kind of like pigtail against the world. The kids here are very determined to make things happen.
I'm trying to hold it in. Okay, so I'm going to read you our mission.
Yeah.
Our mission here at South Kent prepares young men to succeed in college and thrive as thoughtful and engaged citizens in a rapidly changing and intensely competitive. So how do we live our mission?
I think the way we live our mission is that we put our students and our faculty and staff in the position to be servant leaders. You know, we do a lot of with our kids that are outside of what we do as a school, of what a school's supposed to do, right? We get out and we do things. We go and feed homeless people. We go out for Earth Day and clean up our community. We put our guys in situations where the world they know is bigger than them, and they're not bigger than the world. So we do a lot of things where we try to promote servant leadership to help others.
That's awesome. So I know you meet with a lot of families, you do a lot of recruiting. What is something that you already say or something that you kind of focus on when you're trying to talk about South Kent School compared to some other schools?
Well, South Kent compared to itself, not just other schools, that here I tell parents, I'm very straightforward with parents and recruits, that this will be the hardest thing you've done, but if you invest fully in it, it'll be the most rewarding thing you've done. Because there's so many components here that are bigger than basketball, bigger than soccer, bigger than the classroom, that you don't know until you fully immerse here. And once you get through the grind, because the grind's going to be wherever you are in life, and understand how you're being shaped, how you're being molded, is that it will be the most difficult thing you've ever done, but definitely the most rewarding thing.
And then I want to hear one more thing, which can you talk a little bit about the community at South Kent, what that means to you and what you think? the boys?
Community here at South Kent is unique. Obviously, we're a boarding school, so not only do most people work here, they live here. They spend the vast majority of their life here. But community here is what the boys make it, what we make it. And the thing I love about the community here is that that kid that maybe is just getting a little bit of trouble in your classroom, messing around early in the day, you'll see that kid sitting at a table with that same teacher that night, having fun, just talking about life. I mean, community here is vibrant, and I think it's everything to our school, because school's not about bricks and mortar, it's about people. And I think we have great people in this community.
Beautiful.
Great. Beautiful. I think we got it. So this is your first year?
Yes.
And where are you coming from?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Okay, cool. So what has your first year been like? How has it? What is special about South Kent School in this first year for you?
It's been great the first year. I think what's made it special is it feels like home. It's the food. Everyone cares about you, and everyone wants you to succeed, and you know everybody, so it's great.
Awesome. What's different about this area than compared to like Rhode Island? I'm just curious.
Well, I think this area is a bit more closed off, so it's like you're on a different world. You're on a different place, different planet almost. You're just with the people that you know from your teams, from the dining hall, from other sports, and you just get to know them. And so you're closed off from the rest of the world, which gives you more opportunity to get to know the people here.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about like what the community has meant to you in this first year?
So when I first came here, I was obviously pretty nervous, and obviously the adults and the faculty and my teammates and other programs kind of made me feel home and welcomed right away. So the community kind of helped me to thrive as a student and as an athlete.
That's great. What sport do you play?
Hockey.
Hockey. Okay. Is there anything that you've learned on the ice, or just from talking or hearing from coach? Is there anything you've learned, on the rink that you kind of have brought with you to the classroom and to the chapel and to, other aspects of your life here?
Yeah, I'd just say be a good teammate. You always have to count on others so they can count on you. And you have to just be a good person in chapel, everywhere around the community. And that gives everyone else the ability to trust you to do your best, and you can trust them to do their best, which makes it a thriving community.
That's awesome. That's great. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been like in the classroom? So, obviously it's a little bit different format. I'm not sure what kind of school you came from, but can you talk about, how it's a little different here, and if there's anything specific that you think kind of has helped you, grow as a student?
So yeah, at my old school, it was kind of just you get a grade. You don't really have anything that you have to work on or do, whereas here, you get your ranking where it's mastery, emerging, or restart that.
That's okay, yeah,
All
you
right.
can start over.
What's the other one, Ryan?
No idea. I can look it up.
It's emerging, mastery.
It's emerging, mastery.
What's the A one? Approaching. All right.
So I can repeat the question.
All right, yes, please.
So I'm not sure what kind of other school you came from, but is there something specific that's different about the academics here at South Kent? And what is it that's kind of helped you kind of grow as a student?
The academics here have been great because you don't get a grade like other schools. You get a rank, whether it's approaching, mastery, or emerging, or other ranks as well. And you get that rank, and you can always work on something. You can always thrive, and you get help from the teachers where you get work to improve at what you're bad at. So whether it's in the classroom or out of the classroom, you always have something to improve on.
Great. And what has your relationship been like with some of the faculty and teachers on campus?
It's been awesome. I've gotten really close with our coaches, but other coaches as well. Coach Chilius, one of them, Mr. D'Alessandro, or Coach D'Alessandro. It's everyone wants you to succeed, as I said before, whether it's your coaches, your teachers, or just everyone around campus wants you to be happy and want you to be doing well.
Is there something specific that you look forward to every day? Like, and also, what do you do for fun?
Something I look forward to every day is just seeing people you know, because you know everyone around, and it's just awesome. You get to see everyone, say hi, and just go along with your day. It's awesome. What I do for fun, usually go play some basketball, just get intrigued with new activities. I've been adapting rowing as well. So around campus, you're not stuck to one thing. You can do other things as well that are fun to you.
Have you done any of the adventure weekends yet?
Yeah, I've been to one of them.
How was it?
It was good. It was great.
Fun?
Yeah. very
Something
fun.
outside your limit, right? Or
Yeah.
outside what you're used to.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think that's good. That's great.
Any surprises? Were you surprised by anything this year?
I think I
Something
was.
you didn't expect happened out of nowhere.
It's like hard to think about.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay,
you
you can
say,
take a beat.
wow, I didn't know they served this at dinner. This is
Oh, all right,
unbelievable."
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that surprised me this year was how great the strength and conditioning is here. Because at my old hockey program, it's kind of just like you get in and get out, and it wasn't really like the coaches weren't really kind of trying to help you individually. It was more just a team workout and just get it done. Whereas here, the coach helps you with your form and everything, and I've gotten a lot stronger here because of it.
Great.
Great. That's a good.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
There we go. And give me your name and spell.
My name is Rye Crozier, and that is Rycrozier.
And Rye, what is your graduation year?
2025.
Okay, you guys are on.
All right. So, first year at campus, what is it about South Kent that makes it special?
Probably the brotherhood, to be honest. You know, everyone
Answer
really.
that again, right? But use her question. Say what makes it special.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What makes it special is probably the brotherhood, you know? Like, everyone really knows each other. Like, I know basically every single one of the soccer kids. Like, we all talk. I know a lot of the basketball kids. I know a lot of the other coaches. And then everyone kind of supports you and what you want to do and what you, like, you need to do, you know? And I just feel like that it's the brotherhood that I think really is the best part about South Kent.
That's great. And did you look at other schools before you came here, or?
I did,
You
yes.
did. So is there anything specific that stands out about this place that kind of inspired you to choose South Kent?
Probably, to be honest, it's really small, you know, and the classrooms are a pretty small size, and like, you know, you get a lot more one-on-one with the teacher, I feel like, and like because of the smaller classrooms, you get more time with the teacher, get more time to learn, you get more time to like just be who you are, I feel like.
That's awesome. Can you actually talk a little bit about the class and your experience learning together this year?
My experience learning together, it's been probably better than my other schools because of how small it is, you know, and I actually look forward to going to class every day because I love the kids in my class, you know, I love the kids out of my class, but I feel like that I've really created a bond with the kids in my class, you know, not just like my hockey team or not just the kids out of my hockey team, but I feel like that the kids in my class, you know, I've really got to know them. I've really got to know what they like. I've really got to like have fun with them. And I still get to learn, you know, I still get to learn and have fun and be competitive here.
That's great. Is there something, like, is there a specific project that like you really loved? And if there is something, just can you tell us a little bit about it?
Favorite project that I loved was probably the Roman politics game. I'm pretty sure a lot of other kids have talked about it, but it's different, you know. You get it's a game. You get to learn, and you also get to have fun while doing it. You get to be a Roman character that was actually real in Rome, and my guy is called Lucius Cornelius Marula, and he was a high priest. So I get like this special ability where I get to like Mr. Brennan sends me like a bird video, like an osprey, and I can interpret that to like help out the community or like get more points in order to win more consul more times or like get to be able to win the government more. And it's just like, it's basically just a game, but you get to have fun, but you also get to learn as well. And that's what I really love about it.
That's really cool. Do you find that because there's no grades, that you're able to kind of grow and learn more easily?
Yes. I mean, there's no letter grades, you know, there's words. And I feel like that with also no letter grades, there's not a lot of tests as well. And with less tests, we actually have these group discussions where we actually get to like talk about what we've learned, and we get to finally like discuss about what that really means. You know, I feel like in other schools, you know, they just give you a test about what you learned. But here, you get to talk about what you learned. You get to discuss about what you learned. You get to discuss amongst your classmates, amongst your teacher, you know? It's just, I feel like eliminating the letter grades brings in more kind of specialness from the students, you know? They don't really have to worry about the letter grades. They have to worry about what they want to learn, you know? They have to worry about, like, how they learn. They have to worry about, like, incorporating themselves with the classroom, I guess.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
You from there?
I'm from Michigan.
Cool.
Okay, you guys are on.
So, say you got some buddies back in Michigan. They're looking to, change schools, and they're actually looking, in the Northeast, maybe in supporting schools.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them? What would be the thing that you would tell them to give them to come to South Kent? What makes it so special, and what would you tell your best friend?
Probably the brotherhood, you know. I know that there are other schools that preach the brotherhood as well, but I feel like South Kent, like, actually truly has it. Like, I truly know everyone on campus, and they truly know me. You know, they take their time to know me, and I take their time to know them, and that creates a special bond.
And do you think that the schedule too kind of helps with, if you're a pretty serious athlete,
Yeah.
right? Like, the way that the schedule's set up, it kind of allows you to focus on athletics, but also on your academics.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that and, how this schedule can kind of help with, all aspects of your life here?
Well, actually, every day we have these things called skills for hockey, and that's just in our free blocks. We can go down there, we can work on our skills, we can get better at hockey, but then we also have to rush back up to class because the next 50 minutes, we have class. But that gives us the opportunity to, like, hone all of our skills, to hone our hockey, to get better at learning, and just to, like, do what you're here for,
Right. Great. Let's see, is there anything else? You're an underclassman, right?
Yes.
So what has your relationship been like with upperclassmen? Have you kind of felt, connected to upperclassmen as well?
Yes. I don't know if anybody's talked about this, but we have this intramural basketball league. It's where the basketball players are the coaches, and I've actually gotten to really know the basketball players really well because of the basketball league. And that's what South Kent does. They bring in these activities for kids to get to know each other kids. And yeah, I think my relationship with the upperclassmen is really good. I know quite a lot of them, and they know me. I like that.
That's awesome. Let's see. Anything else? I like your question about, is there anything unexpected from this year?
Yeah, any surprises this year? Said, oh man, they're serving filet mignon, or we're gonna take a trip to the Bronx Zoo, or whatever. Is there anything that surprised you?
Probably adventure recovery.
Okay, talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's amazing. Like, I was one of the first ones who went rafting, and I went rafting once before, but it was nothing like that, They really took their time to show us the safety, but they really took their time for us to allow us to have fun as well. And I got to know new kids, but I also got to have fun doing it.
Great.
So where did you go to do this raft?
The Housatonic River.
Oh, you went on the Housatonic?
Yeah.
Did you start way up north?
Yeah,
or?
way up, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Cool.
And where do you dump out at?
I'm not sure. It was near South Kent. It was near
it was.
Kent.
Okay,
Yeah.
so one of the beaches down here? Or?
I'm not sure. It was like sort of a little bit out of town, maybe
Yeah.
like 15 minutes out of Kent.
South?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And you do that, like what? Once or twice a year, or like how often are people going out there to do
Well,
adventure activities?
it just started, I'm pretty sure, maybe a month ago, and then they did it every weekend. And there's been new stuff, Last weekend they did where we went surfing on this like river on this wave on the river. I didn't go, but I heard it was really fun. And I really wish I would have gone, but they just do that kind of like different stuff for you to have fun and to connect with other kids.
Great.
All right.